You're listening to Tehachapod with Keybudge, Corey Costello, and Greg Garrett.
Well, Tehachapod time again. Keybudge, Corey Costello. Corey, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good. You getting set for the holidays? We're changing seasons and
yeah. Thanksgiving was exhausting. Just FYI. So somehow I ended up with the biggest house in my family, which is incredible. Which means that like I'm the de facto. Hey, you have the biggest space. Therefore, let's all converge. So
you need to move into the this new generation of tiny living.
That's actually, it's funny you say that because my wife was watching some tiny home show and she said, there's our solution to never having to host the holidays again. Let's get a little tiny house.
We've got the micro village coming in, here at the end of Green Street.
So maybe we have two young kids. I don't think we need less space. You get away from it as much as possible, yeah.
And then with Thanksgiving in the rearview mirror ahead of us, we've got all kinds of holiday events that are coming up here in Tehachapi. Mm-hmm. The tree lighting ceremony, the parade, the Christmas with Santa, all the Santa photos at the depot. Yeah. There's just going to be, again, you're going to be tied up because your kids are going to be out there at all those.
Yeah, for sure. And then even just if you check out, a cheap plug for the Visit Tehachapi app, which is available all over the place. There's a ton of Christmas events from all over the, Breakfast with Santa. The wineries are doing, Christmas markets and on different weekends. There's all kinds of cool things happening the next month. So I'd encourage you to check that out. You can see all those on the special events page on that app.
And definitely want to remind everyone to try and shop local. Yeah. Think about all of our small businesses that we've got here in Tehachapi. And, if take the time. Take a few extra minutes, walk up and down the boulevard, check out these small stores because they've worked hard to prepare for this time of year, and it has an impact on your neighbors. So
we're pushing out. Once again, last couple of years we've sort of went this route. Really encourage you to that little challenge to buy one gift locally in terms of buy one gift from an independent shop. You don't have to. You can't find everything. We get that. Most of that stuff you can find at the big box stores we do have in town. But make an effort to just buy one, and we hope that the success of the small business loyalty program showed people and reminded people what we had to offer. So rekindle that from March and go out and whether it's a gift card to a restaurant or a specialty service or a toy or a handcrafted artisan piece from downtown or one of the shops on Tucker, whatever. Just try to make that one gift purchase from a local independent spot.
And then some more good news I found out today that the ramps for the skate park will start to be delivered this week, set up. That is finally here.
Yeah, I'm excited for TVRPD and those folks. They've been, the city and TVRPD worked together on that. TVRPD did a lot of the logistical stuff and all that. But, we combined grant funds to make that thing happen. And I'm going to bust the longboard out when it comes time for grand opening day.
We want photos.
I'm just going to cruise. Don't expect me to be up on a ramp. I'll be that guy kind of cruising around on the concrete down low. But,
Well, you probably should be doing that before the ramps go in while you've got the big concrete pad to work with.
I'll just, good photo op, and hopefully I stay on it. It's been a while since I've been on it. But, it'll be fun.
Maybe we'll green screen you.
There you go.
We'll just have you stand up, take a photo, and then put some green screen moving in a skate park, behind you.
I'll just show up in pads and a helmet with a regular skateboard and then pretend I pulled a hamstring right before I went on. Oh, I can't do it today. Sorry.
Well, now, Corey, today, what we're going to talk about? We're going to bring in an expert from the Mountain Lion Foundation. We're going to talk about mountain lions. This is something that when I was doing some reporting, I covered a lot of stories in the Tehachapi area about mountain lions, and there's lots of myths and there's some facts, and people can't sometimes have trouble separating myth from fact. And I think today we're going to be able to kind of sort through that.
All right, that sounds good.
So let's invite in Robin Parks from the Mountain Lion Foundation. Robin, welcome to Tehachapod.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate being here.
It's nice to have you here. I know you've done some community presentations up here in the Tehachapi area, and we want to do is kind of expand on that conversation, is educating people. We've got so many new people that have moved in from the cities. Mm-hmm. I was one of those 20 years ago, but in this housing, sales boom that's gone over the last couple of years, we've got a ton of people that are not used to living maybe in a more rural setting. So let's talk about the California mountain lion.
Well, thanks again for having me here. And yes, I've been here and given now to include this probably 4 presentations to different audiences. I was at Bear Valley Springs last night talking to a variety of folks, mostly those now associated with the Bear Valley Springs Wildlife Coalition that's just being formed. It's still very much in progress. There is mountain lion presence and activity in that general area and elsewhere, and that presentation went real well, and there was a lot of interest displayed by the audience.
Well, let's talk about the Mountain Lion Foundation before we jump into the Mountain Lion. Tell us a little bit about the foundation.
Sure thing. Mountain Lion Foundation, or MLF for short, is based in Sacramento. It is very, very active in California, but has a very large outreach. It's involved in most of the western states to some degree or other, because nearly all the western states have some degree of mountain lion population, big or small. They are up high. They're involved with a variety of matters, legislation in California to protect mountain lions. They work with a wide variety of other organizations to educate people, advocate for the mountain lions, try to protect them. That kinds of things. It has a wide reach. It involves wildlife crossings, trying to help out with that, helping out with laws, educating people that just because you see a mountain lion doesn't mean you got to kill it. Educate them to current laws that apply to mountain lions. And we have definite laws here in California that go all the way back to Ronald Reagan, protecting them from being killed. There are more current laws than that, and we can talk about those some if you like. So they're involved in a wide effort of education, advocacy, legislation, public outreach, uniting with other organizations to all geared toward protecting the mountain lion and seeing that they flourish in the wildlife, in the wild where they're supposed to be.
So what would be what's the importance to protect the mountain lion, right? Because from maybe the standpoint of somebody who sees him as a predator, maybe I'm a rancher and they're destructive to, livestock. And like you mentioned before, most people think this is a predator that could hurt me. I need to eliminate it. So what is the, importance of the mountain lion in the ecosystem and what you all promote?
Well, let me give several central facts here to kind of respond to that. Yes, they are an animal here in the wild, and yes, they are and can be a predator. They're an apex predator at the top of the food chain. And what happens is, as people are learning more and more about nature and more about animals, a healthy food chain, healthy animal chain up and down the line is a good thing for the environment, a good thing for nature. And sometimes when an apex predator is removed from meaning killed in the chain, it causes complications for other things up and down, further down the chain. And that is being seen with mountain lions. Secondly, there are some things that I really need to get right down to the core of issues. People do have a fear of, some people do have a fear of mountain lions as being predators, as being sometimes, stalking humans, attacking humans. And I need to clarify a lot of things. If you do even just a minimal amount of research, you find out that since 1895, that's 1895, there have been 27 confirmed fatalities, human fatalities, as a result of mountain lions. Okay, now, there have been more attacks now. I'm talking about fatalities, only confirmed fatalities.
And I can tell you, Robin, that as someone who used to ride mountain bikes all the time out in the country, in the hills, in the mountains, I have never encountered a mountain lion. Not to say that they weren't there, they saw me, they stepped off the trail, they stepped away.
Yeah, probably so.
It's something that we as humans, they're not quite as elusive as Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But I mean,
almost,
but they don't want to interact with humans. That's kind of like my takeaway is like their thing is like, hey, I'm good. I know what I want to go after. I want to hunt, and that's not it.
So but back to the number of fatalities, when you look at, and I am not diminishing any death here, please, but when you look at 27 fatalities, well over 100 years, and you look at almost any other factor that kills people, why people die, that this is way down on the list here. Your chances of getting attacked and killed by a mountain lion your chances of winning the lottery are better.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, because I would say this, because honestly, I live in an area where they've been spotted from time to time, and people set up a trail cam by their house or a ring camera, and they see them, and because there are areas that kind of feed the hills, these sort of natural washes and stuff, and they're nice little highways for them to go get food. But, I run really early in the morning, and that's always my biggest fear is these things. Now, I figure when I see a bunch of deer, I'm good, because, well, the deer are out, so they're not actually being harvested by a mountain lion, so I feel safer then. But it does actually, it's like my number one worry is like, hey, I'm out here in the dark, and I got a headlamp and that kind of stuff, but I don't know what's out there watching me too.
Well, there are a wide variety of deterrents and countermeasures for mountain lions. Simple, not too expensive, easy to use, and one of the things I really recommend for you. First of all, mountain lions are usually
run faster, but
run
that's
faster.
not going to happen.
That'll help, but you can't. A mountain lion can do 50 miles an hour on a spurt.
No shot.
So you can't run. You can't outrun that. You got to do something else. So but one of the simplest things that I really push for hikers and bikers and campers and runners. First of all, generally speaking, mountain lions are most active at dawn to dusk. Mm-hmm. So that's the hours that they hunt, and they're most active. However, they don't always read the operating manual. Yeah. You can encounter a mountain lion anytime. But one of the simplest things, go to Walmart, about $14, a handheld air horn that you get marine, not as in U.S. Marine, but a nautical marine air horn. It fits in the palm of your hand. And it's, like I say, about $14 maybe or so. And when you see one of these things, you let this horn rip. There are other things to do too, but you let the horn rip. And if you are not prepared for the noise that thing makes, you will wet your pants. Okay, so you understand it's a loud noise. Okay. For homeowners and ranchers and whatever, you can get a somewhat larger variant of that air horn, not very expensive at all. And that thing, when it goes off, will make an aircraft carrier change course at 30 knots. So it is an extremely effective, proven effective, along with some other things. But it is a proven effective device, easy to carry, lightweight. I really recommend you do that.
Perfect.
Well, let's for those that are not aware, the mountain lion. What is on its food plate? What is its primary diet that it's looking for?
The number one item on the menu for a mountain lion is deer. And when that's the way that God's master plan was, and he took them all out into the field for beta testing and showed them, look, this is a deer, this is what you go after. And after that, if you can't find any deer, you eat anything that doesn't eat you first. So yes, that is why that is why they have other things on the menu. Deer's first. If they can't find deer or something else walks by, they will eat coyotes. And if they're unprotected and not given the right kind of protection, they're happy to come by and get a goat. If an owner or rancher or whatever waves a goat steak in front of them and makes an easy meal of it. And that's another thing that the Mountain Lion Foundation is really trying to do, is educate people who have these kinds of animals that there are deterrents. There are things you can do, mostly better pens and enclosures, but other things as well.
That's what I was just going to go to next is the amount of livestock, the goats that we've got on so many properties that surround the city. It's our responsibility as an owner of those kinds of animals that we have on our property, and even dogs, is that we should make sure that we've got them protected.
Absolutely. And I realize some people don't necessarily have that view, but if you have your animals, whether it be your dog or cat or whatever, or goats or sheep, you've got to give them some sort of protection rather than nothing. And you now live in an area where mountain lions are known to be, so the responsibility falls on you.
What about, you talked about not securing your goats and livestock, whatever. What about the concept of folks that enjoy feeding wildlife? They want to feed deer because it's nice that they're in their yard every day. Are you just kind of maybe ringing the dinner bell though at the same time?
Well, you are, and one of the points that I go through in the presentations I give is if you feed them, they will come. So if you are, if you happen to have a deer feeding station in your front yard, don't be surprised if you have a mountain lion also in your front yard doing a surveillance on that feeding station, waiting for somebody to come by. It has happened. I have a long personal story on that, but it has happened. So yes, you feeding wildlife, particularly something that the mountain lion might eat, is something. It's one thing to put food outside for your cat or dog, and they shouldn't be outside at night anyway. But it's a different thing to have a deer feeding station or other kinds of things, because that does attract the mountain lions.
Yeah, and if you've got like your dogs, and especially if you've moved from the city and you come here to a more rural type of setting where you're very close to the mountains, the travel pattern for the mountain lion, he's not going to maybe sleeping in your backyard in the doghouse waiting for the dog to come out, but he's going to be lurking nearby. And if you leave your animals unattended and you think that, hey, I'm still in the city, I can leave the dogs in the backyard overnight, not a good idea, because they come down.
Exactly.
And they start to hunt.
Yeah, and not always during the night, but nighttime is a very time that they're most active, yes.
Yeah. And even going back to the point of feeding wildlife, feeding deer, you are feeding everything at that point, because when the deer are done, the skunks show up.
Yep.
And the rabbits show up.
And
the raccoons show up. You're not just, I know you want to get a great picture to put on Instagram of the deer in your yard, but when you're going out of your way to leave out dog food for them or something, like, you're not really helping, and you're bringing everything else that comes with it. It's not just the pretty animals that show up to eat.
Yeah, there's a lot of good-natured people that are trying to help, but Department of Fish and Wildlife really pushes very hard not to feed the wild animals. Yeah. They're wild; they need to forage for themselves.
Right.
And I understand the love for animals. I mean, I have that too, and I understand particularly now with the drought situation in much of California, there are people who are providing water for all sorts of animals, not just mountain lions. Mountain lions come down too, but so I understand that. But you have to understand, if you are also interested in protecting your animals, your own animals, you need to understand that such things like that can attract the mountain lions. I want to go through one central point here that applies to this. There is a perception in some quarters, not many, but in some quarters, that the mountain lion population in California and elsewhere is just exploding, and that's why we have so many mountain lions around. There's so many sightings and contacts and incidents of predation where a mountain lion will get a goat or whatever. I need to really clarify. Nope. That is not the case. The mountain lion population nowhere, no how, is exploding in California or anywhere else. The population in California is decreasing, as with lots of places. For Southern California, where I live in San Diego, there are a couple studies out recently that say that within about 10 years or so, mountain lions south of LA County will disappear because of a variety of reasons. Roadkill, poaching, inbreeding, because they can't get to the male can't get to female, population can't get to population because of highways and whatever. There are a variety of rodenticides also play a serious problem with mountain lions. So it is not at all exploding. What is happening is, as we humans encroach upon their traditional territories, we take away their habitat with condo complexes and new highways and new constructions and malls and whatever. As we do that, we take away from the area that they live. Therefore, they got to go somewhere. So they will oftentimes, go where they would not normally go, and particularly if there's food there, that's where they go. So the theory about the population explosion is not valid. It's just not there. But what is valid is we keep taking their land, and that forces more contact, and there will be more contact, both here in the Tehachapi area and lots of other places. That is what we're seeing right now, and that whole situation is being complicated by the drought, forest fires, climate change that are driving mountain lions to places they would not normally be.
Curious you bring that up too, because, and you bring up being in the San Diego area. Do you see and hear about maybe more, because I think for a lot of folks that live in certain areas of Tehachapi, certainly not the city, but surrounding communities, a lot of them sort of expect this to come with the territory, right? I'm moving out to a pretty rural area up against a hill in a mountain, so to speak. So it's kind of, and so I guess they sort of expect it, and maybe there's fewer encounters. Do you see more encounters in the areas where there is a big urban sprawl, maybe, and in this, the greater San Diego area where people are out in the Ramona Hills or something, and they're going, "Wow, I'm shocked that I've got a mountain lion here."
Plenty of mountain lions in the Ramona area. I'm working an issue with that just today, as a matter of fact. This is happening throughout, in many parts of the states. It is happening throughout California, the entire state now, where I have 3 or 4 different projects on my desk, working to try to educate people. And the idea of the thing of the mountain lions preying upon farm animals, ranch animals, hobby animals, whatever, it's occurring all over, and there are people all over that need the education and need the training that there are things you can do to protect your animals, and you must do that. It is a whole statewide issue.
Sure. And it's not even that too. I mean, you could even have when it comes to the livestock piece, I mean, it's not just mountain lions, coyotes are destructive, and they've been around forever too. So I think there is a way to sort of coexist, so to speak, to use that sort of generic term with all of it.
No,
and
not at all. That's the term.
Coexist. Yeah, and it goes, like I said, a lot of us, it goes with the territory. Like I understand where I live, like I'm going to deal with deer and sometimes mountain lions in the neighborhood area occasionally, and just sort of be prepared for that. Understand that's just, when I move there, that's sort of part of the territory. I'm not looking to run them out necessarily, but I'm also not looking to put a big feed pile in the front yard, that says deer only. Hopefully they read it. Right. I'm trying to coexist where I live.
And I did see on the Mountain Lion Foundation website that you get instructional videos on how to better fortify, if you will, or make stronger these animal pens to make them more mountain lion proof or predator proof. And they were very simple. But the steps it was a YouTube video, I believe, the links from the Mountain Lion Foundations, but they show step by step how you can put together a proper dog kennel or whatever the area is. And you were able to fortify it with some very simple things you can get at Home Depot for just very few dollars. But it makes your animal that much safer, harder for the predator to get to. And I'm sure the predator at a certain point is going to say, there's an easier catch of the day somewhere.
Exactly. And yes, the website, mountainlion.org, has an awful lot of information regarding that whole subject and related things, and deterrents and countermeasures you can use, noise makers, things that are motion makers. And sometimes these things are very, very simple. It's not rocket science. I will give just one example here, but I mentioned air horns are very. I really recommend you get one of those. Okay, if you're out jogging in the morning. Okay, but the another simple thing is there is plenty of evidence, new evidence, that the mountain lions generally do avoid people. They don't like human voices. They don't like dogs barking either, but they don't like human voices. And a simple thing like an old-fashioned AM/FM radio playing set up on a fence post somewhere facing out to where a mountain lion might come, and you don't have to have rock or rap or country or whatever. You have human voices, talk radio.
Put Tehachapi on a loop.
There you go.
Put us on a fence post.
And listen, I swear, Your Honor, I swear, this is the truth. There have been recent testing where the voices of Rachel Maddow and the voices of Rush Limbaugh have the same effect. I kid you not. I'm serious.
Perfect. Yeah.
They have the same effect. Just human voices. It is not the end all be all. 100% effective, but it is one of the deterrents that helps keep mountain lions away.
So they're nonpartisan, is what you're trying to say.
They appear to be.
Exactly.
Yes,
it's the only talk radio that works on both sides. Wow, that's perfect.
They appear to be.
Yeah.
Well, with the thought that here we are in Tehachapi, and we've got wildlife around us, and we've got a lot of areas that are non-hunting areas too. Like in Bear Valley Springs, everything is protected, and you can't hunt it. So like the deer are not hunted. So we start to see in certain areas there does seem to be large populations of deer. Do you see an increase of mountain lions because there's increase of food supply for them?
Well, this is and I don't want to get too. I don't want to get too much off my turf in areas that I'm not that competent. You called me an expert earlier. That's a little bit heavy.
Compared to the three of us, you are the expert.
That may be, but that's a little bit heavy. I'm a field worker, but generally speaking, a healthy deer population means a healthy mountain lion population. Generally, if one gets out of whack, the other gets out of whack. One goes up, the other goes down. So that is not always the case, but is generally the case, and you see it in a lot of areas. So generally speaking, particularly in an area like this, if you do have a healthy deer population, that means the mountain lion population is normally healthy because they eat on the deer. Now, as I understand it, the last couple of years, you've had some really bad deer virus that has come through that has killed an awful lot of deer. And that is a problem which affects mountain lions because they need to eat something else. And I forget the name of the virus now, but there was some discussion about that last night. But apparently it's hit the deer population really, really hard. I know you also have elk here in this general area. Elk's a little bit of a big target for a mountain lion, but not off the menu. We mentioned menu items. Everybody needs to know coyotes are on the menu item. A mountain lion is happy to eat a coyote if one comes across, and it's an easy kill. So, talking about predator on predator here, but they are also on the menu.
Yeah, I had a hunting friend of mine. He had a great bumper sticker, and it literally said, "Eat California mule deer. Thousands of mountain lions can't be wrong." And and it was like, there you go.
So if you know, with the California mountain lion, and we know that in Arizona they call them a puma. I mean, is there a difference when we start to talk about some of our western United States? It's all the same critter that people just have to call it something different.
Same animal I am told in the research there are something like 42. I say again, 42 different names for the mountain lion.
Wow.
All the same animal, all the same species, the different names. There's a lot of Native American names that have come over in use, and there's some of the tribes in Oklahoma used to have a name for the cat that was translated to the cat of God. But there's puma, mountain lion, panther, lots of same thing, same animal, all the way across.
So I'm curious, Robin, how did you get involved with a group like the Mountain Lion Foundation? How did this sort of come about for you?
I was in my past life, I was law enforcement. I did a career with NCIS, Naval Criminal Investigative Service. And a couple of years before I retired, there were some incidents in San Diego County where local police or sheriff's deputies came across a mountain lion and they killed the cat. And from the information that was presented, it just seemed like there was no real need to do that. They just killed it because it was there. And so I said, well, cops of all sorts have all sorts of training they do that they got to do. They just got to. About 400 subjects, but I bet mountain lions aren't one of the things. So I started, that eventually led me to the Mountain Lion Foundation. That eventually led me into providing presentations tailored for law enforcement people. I was federal and worked for the military, but I can still usually find the frequency to talk to law enforcement people on. And so I started doing that, and that eventually just exploded into presentations to other groups and other peoples, to include now here.
Yeah, it's true. Law enforcement does not get specialized, especially if you're in a whether it's a large or a small area. It's not part of the curriculum from the post academy at the state level. You don't have Department of Fish and Wildlife or anyone else come in and give you a mountain lion or predator.
Sure.
It's like, call animal control.
Well, and for mountain lions, actually, it's Fish and Wildlife. It's
right.
best because animal control, most cases, won't touch it.
Yeah. Well, that ends up being the secondary call. When you call animal control, they end up passing you and say, hey, you need to call Fish and Wildlife.
That thing's not going to fit in our truck.
Yeah.
Call somebody else.
Yeah.
But also Fish and Wildlife, I mean, they're spread thin. They're a small, relatively speaking, small organization. Sometimes they just cannot respond. They can give you advice, they can give you whatever, but they cannot respond to a situation in any kind of meaningful time. So there are some basic things that just the regular law enforcement people can know.
Well, I would think, and I'm throwing this out there, that probably the first recommendation is leave it alone and allow it. It'll leave. It will leave. You'll have to be patient. And I think people run out of patience because time is like, it's here, it's now, it's got to be gone. And the fact is, just like a bear, it doesn't want to be there near you. Give it space, give it room, it's going to leave. But, you've got the noisemaker, the air horn, those few things that make it uncomfortable, and it's going to want to leave. But otherwise, I think we've got to learn, you got to respect it and just step away.
Keith, were you at my presentation last night?
I was not. I was not. I'm going with common sense here.
That's right.
I know
it goes a long way sometimes.
It's a long way. Actually, you're right. Sometimes you don't have to do anything. If you want to sit there in the squad car for a while, and you may not want to go out and engage the cat in conversation or anything, but sit in the squad car for a while, and eventually the line will go away. Now, if it's attacking somebody or if there's people, maybe that's a different story. But a lot of times you don't have to do anything, and the cat will go away. And that's the first thing.
I think the law enforcement officers, spend more time getting the looky-loo away that comes when they hear on social media, hey, there was a mountain lion seen over here, and everyone wants to come with their Instagram moments like you mentioned, Corey, and they flood a neighborhood, and it's like, step away.
And that's wildlife in general, and that's what,
Right.
I mean, there's internet videos all over the place now, right, of people who don't realize, like, you can't take a selfie by an elk, or even deer. Like, they can sometimes, they don't like you around them, and so it's not these are wild animals. Like, they're wildlife. So the first part is that common sense piece needs to be like, social media can wait. Like, you just need to let them, give them their space.
Well, I think, as I mentioned, it's been 20 years for me since I've moved from the city out here to the country, and we've got a mix of, city here and then surrounded by rural communities. And we have to understand that just living out in the country or in a more rural setting doesn't mean that you can bring your being citified, and that's what I call it, out here and apply those principles. It's different. We have to make the adjustment as to where we're living, and we have to be more cognizant of our pets and animals as we allow them, and pay attention to our area, and respect everything that's out here. It's not all, about us. It shouldn't be all about us, but, just respecting the space that we're in. So, Robin, as we start to wrap things up here, is there anything else, any other points that you want to get across that maybe we haven't touched on, or Corey and I haven't asked you?
Very quickly, I'll try to try to get through a couple of things here. As I mentioned, the idea that, the concept that the population exploding is just incorrect. It's not that way. Secondly, I want to be sure that everybody knows that in California, we do not hunt mountain lions, and they have been protected for a long time, starting all the way back with Ronald Reagan. Several laws since then. There are other recent laws that protect mountain lions. SB 132 is one of them. Fish and Wildlife has a policy that I think now is fully statewide regarding 3 steps. Used to be called 3 strikes, now 3 steps. And if you have animals that have been preyed upon by a mountain lion, that does not automatically allow you to kill a mountain lion. There are steps that they want you to take to increase deterrent, better fence, higher fence, overhangs on fence, deterrents, devices called fox lights and gadfly gadgets, which make a horrendous noise that will scare off T-Rexes, so they say, and a variety of other things. They want you to go through a variety of steps before you can get action, get a depredation permit to actually have the mountain lion killed. So I want to be sure and get that. We don't, and you can't just kill a mountain lion because you see it somewhere. It's been protected. And if in a situation self-defense where you are being attacked by a mountain lion, that's a different story. But the just because you see one doesn't mean you can kill one, and that is the law, and people need to know that. There's lots of simple. You had mentioned on the website. There's just lots of good, simple, practical, not too expensive things that you can do to protect your animals with deterrents. There are safety do's and don'ts that everybody should know. If you hike, bike, trike, camp, whatever you do in mountain lion country, there are just some safety things about air horns, making noise, looking big, to avoid to make the mountain lion go away and lose interest in you. There's a variety of things like that as well that everybody should know who lives in mountain lion country. If they hike, run like you in the morning, there's some simple things to do, and it would be well worth your time to take a look at that.
It seems like most of the stuff I see when people they catch them on their cameras a little earlier than I get up, which is good. But they seem to be that kind of 3 o'clock in the morning seems to be the sweet spot for some reason in my neighborhood.
And this whole camera thing, one thing we're finding out, nowadays everybody and their mother's got a ring camera and a trail camera and security stuff. Well, and they catch all these mountain lions doing stuff. Well,
they've been doing it for years.
They've been doing it for years. They've been out there all the time. Just nobody knew about it.
He doesn't have a camera, yeah.
So this is not a new this is not a new development of mountain lions.
That's my whole concept with social media in general. I mean, everyone says, "Oh, the world's a terrible place." It's been a terrible place for a long time. All this stuff's been going on.
Right.
We just didn't hear about it halfway across the world because we didn't have a social media account to follow it.
And they do the strangest things. I've got pictures of my presentation mountain lion on top of your car, under your car, waiting for you in your driveway when you come home, sitting there looking at you, waiting for you to come home. Okay, and a variety of other things. God, there was an incident in Poway not too long ago, not too far from I live in San Diego County. It appeared that there were two young mountain lions playing DoorDash with a ring camera going up to wanting to ring the doorbell. It's what it looked like. And they would go along and do something and then kind of run away and then come back. And they were just like kids, kids ringing. It's some of the strangest things that have come up.
I had seen some footage that was shared to me when I was doing some reporting a few years back, and it was in Bear Valley. And it was dawn, and it was very foggy, misty, kind of a cool photo. And the guy had his camera right there, like a ring camera, and the mountain lion slowly walks up onto his deck, walks out of sight, turns around, walks back out into the mist, into the fog, and gone. It was just cruising around. And it was some of the coolest video that I'd seen in a while. But one thing on a safety tip, I thought maybe I'll bring this up. And correct me if I'm wrong. If you do happen to, like, say Corey's out there and he encounters that face to face, he should not turn and run away.
No, there's one of the first, biggest, most effective countermeasure and action you should take if encountering a mountain lion. If it looks like it's coming toward you, I mean, if it's a quarter mile off and just looking at it, well, that's a different story. Yeah. But if it's close, it looks like something could go wrong. Is to look big, jump up and down, say bad words very loudly.
Well, I'll be doing that anyway.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you can safely bend over and you don't turn around on a mountain lion, you don't run away, you back away slowly.
Yeah.
But if you can safely grab a rock, throw that thing as hard as you can at that.
Yeah.
And if you get another rock, throw it too. The air horns work great, but that concept of looking loud, you maintain eye contact with a mountain lion for reasons which I don't know. The bear and dogs, you're not supposed to do that. Mountain lions, it's somehow a sign of respect or something. You maintain eye contact with a mountain lion. So they'll look at you. They'll look directly in your eyes, and that's how you do it. And when you can, you back away slowly, still making noise, looking big. Get the people, get your dog close by if you got one. Get the wife, whoever it is. All these people. The bigger the target, the less they go. The less they go for it. That technique is just amazing. I encountered a few years ago, I gave this brief in New Mexico. I encountered a retired deputy that worked 30 years up in Northern California, Southern Oregon. In those 30 years, he had 11 separate close encounters with a mountain lion, 11 of them in that time. And on those 11 encounters, he did that every time, the look big thing. No shots fired, no deputies eaten, no mountain lions killed, no rounds put down range. In the civilian community, it all worked out just fine. It is a really, really the number one effective technique.
See, the problem with the air horn is now every time I see my neighbors are going to hate me. Every time I see a glowing pair of eyes in the bushes looking at me, it's going to be 5:30 in the morning, and that neighbor's going to be lit up with air horns.
He'll hear it. Yeah, they'll hear it too.
Yeah, y'all are going to know when I'm out and about. I apologize in advance. It's Robin's fault. He gave me the idea of the air horn.
Corey Costello's on his run.
Yeah, right. Oh, he must have saw another house cat in the bushes and got scared again. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Well, Robin, thank you so much for this conversation. I've taken away quite a bit, and hopefully some, especially for a lot of our new residents, that they've listened and been able to, and then understand that the Mountain Lion Foundation is a resource to get information to become a better pet owner, to fortify your holding areas, if you will, for your pets, your goats, your dogs, and make it not mountain lion friendly. So, and the website again?
Mountainlion.org.
There you go. So all the information you need
for the Mountain Lion Foundation
will be found right there. And if you'd like a presentation, Robin has been up in the area, so I'm sure Robin wouldn't mind coming back, making that trek from San Diego back up here to
Actually,
Tehachapi.
I wouldn't. This is a really nice area. I've met some nice people. It's beautiful out there. I want to do some hiking out there.
There are some nice hiking trails. Just make sure you take an air horn with you.
Oh, you bet.
Hey, so with that said, that's Robin Parks, and he is with the Mountain Lion Foundation, a volunteer that comes out and makes community presentations, educates us on how to be safe and respectful with the mountain lion that we have here in California. Corey, in closing?
I'm good now. I've got all the information I need. So,
Remember, you go to the marine section of Walmart.
That's right.
It's about $14. That's the air horn you want.
Yeah, I'll be all over that. Appreciate it.
And today's show, as we're talking about mountain lions, this came from the community. This came from someone who asked if we would, consider having this conversation. So that's where this show came from. And with that, we invite you to send us your show thoughts and ideas, comments to media@TehachapiCityHall.com. Corey and I go through them. We'll take a look. And whenever we can expand upon an idea that's thrown our way, we definitely want to do that for the community. Again, media@TehachapiCityHall.com. Robin, again, thank you for making the trek up from San Diego.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
This was a good conversation. Corey, I want you to have a great holiday season. I'm not going to see you for a little bit, but
you're going on the IR for a little bit.
We'll
get you back here soon enough. I'm sure Greg and I will be able to hold together, put a couple nonsensical podcasts together while you're gone.
Yeah.
But we'll keep it going.
I'll look forward to see what those topics are. So again, media@TehachapiCityHall.com. I'm Key Budge for Corey Costello. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi designed for the people who live here or who would like to know more about this mountaintop community. If you have a question you would like answered, email media@TehachapiCityHall.com. We will try to answer it on a future episode of Tehachapod.